What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And the question of whether it's a bear market or whether it's a bull market really depends on who you're listening to at that particular moment, because nobody has any idea. But there is a general rule in crypto and in investing that you look at this and you make an informed decision of what you want to do, right? Because the chances are extreme fear and extreme greed and neutrality somewhere in between. So between these two positions, right, a lot of people either make money or lose money. Now, my general advice would be, when you see this kind of sentiment, right, why would you sell here as opposed to wait for things to get frothy and you start from neutrality onwards, you start to sell here. So you buy the fear, even extreme fear, and you sell greed. And I'll give you just, for those of you who are now listening to multitude of influencers telling you either the bull market is over, we don't know that yet. $74,000 is the macro low. Anything below that would confirm it. Of course, 2 weekly candle closes. But take it with a pinch of salt. I'm not telling you exactly what to do. I'm here to share some smart money moves as well with you. Look at Alex Becker's holding. We look at Arthur Hayes' deployment of USDC in the last couple of days, if there's any changes, because we know he went on to a large amount of USDC, right? We do this with Nansen AI, which is a brilliant tool. But before we get into the smart wallets, is it the end of the bull market? Now, there are a couple of things that we need to take note. We are going to enter this as a decisive key zone. Possibly, if I even kind of remove that, this is the order block I'm looking at between 76, right? If you look at 76 to about 74, there is an order block here, 71. And this is all under 4 hours, but let's move to the daily. And cycle stop loss. Now, every cycle you must have a stop loss. Possibly, look how close we are to the cycle stop loss, right? We're very close there or thereabouts. Now, having said that, things could get uglier, but what I'm going to do is try and give you an idea of why you should also just remain balanced, okay? Remain balanced, because boy, oh boy, a lot of people are engagement farming right now, and you are going to see a massive market maker capitulation or liquidation led event. Because what we're seeing here, this is on the 1 month, but if we go to the 2 weeks, what we're seeing is a significant liquidation points for Bitcoin at around what I would consider to be these dead cat bounce levels, up to 113, right? So this whole entire region could be an opportunity for you. And we will get that bounce. Just matter of time before it happens. But this could be a place to kind of de-risk a little bit. Now, interestingly, because everyone is kind of feeling bearish, and because we know that regardless anyway, split the portfolio into two, there should be things that you get rid of during a dead cat bounce, and there should be things that you can keep. But what I would say is below $74,000, you call it a bear market, right? A lot of people are calling it a bear market, in my opinion, prematurely. Having said that, the Fed is extremely divided, and we don't see liquidity coming into the market until January or beyond, right? Q1, Q2 2026. Now, a strongly divided Fed obviously means that the interest rate cuts are what's driving a lot of the sentiment. In my opinion, it doesn't matter whether it's 71 of either way. We know this changes very quickly. Now, has the Fed completely, is this a final? Because this would have been in the high 90s. For me, it would have been in the 90s. And the Fed, the rates still have a 29% chance of standing. Okay. Now, in terms of my own invalidations, I look at this as the as the line in the sand. If we come to this macro high, then I do believe with the market of being so short right now, like literally the millions of orders in terms of liquidation heat map, and the entire market is to the downside, guys. This is, this is no drill. This is the real deal, and the market thinks we're going down. But then I would like you to listen to this. So a few days ago, at the DXB channel in my live stream, I did actually post this. This is quite, again, Tom Lee, this is quite telling.
I think I'm going to kind of add to what Steve said. I think the crypto market has been limping along since October 10th, because on that date was a negative shock. I mean, today's stock market looks a lot like an echo of what happened October 10th. But on October 10th, that liquidation was so big, Brian, it really crippled market makers. And our market makers are critical in crypto because they provide liquidity. I mean, they act almost as the central bank in crypto. And if they've got a hole in their balance sheet that they need to raise capital for, they need to reflexively reduce their balance sheet, reduce trading. And if prices fall, they've got to then do more selling. So I think that this drip that's been taking place for the last few weeks in crypto reflects this market maker crippling. And so in 2022, it took 8 weeks for that to really get flushed out. We're only 6 weeks into it. So I kind of concur. I think crypto, Bitcoin and Ethereum are in some ways a leading indicator for equities because of that unwind and now this sort of limping and weakened liquidity.
Well,
this was, I thought this was a fantastic point because, again, whether you agree with this guy or not, this is why I think DCAing into the fear rather than talking about the cycle end is very important, because that would reset. But if we talk about what he said regarding 2022, he said basically 8 weeks. It took 8 weeks for that to kind of play out. I reckon we are already 6 weeks into it out of the 8. But when you look at the Fed liquidity, interest rate cuts, and of course, jobs data, right? So when you look at all of these factors and the fact that the Fed itself is, is lining to do this in January. Now, there's one point that, of course, I disagree with there because I don't think it's just the market makers alone. I think the name of the game is liquidity, and liquidity is not there. Now, a lot of people, again, like I said, a lot of people are engagement farming. But if you're going to do anything to your portfolio, look at the fear and greed index, and that should be an indicator of whether you buy or sell, whether you hold. If you're holding a bunch of shit coins, then perhaps get rid of them on a dead count bounce and focus on your core conviction. Because ultimately, this is what's playing out right now. 2025 is going to end with crypto in limbo, crypto winter, if you like. But the inflation also is a very much a massive consideration of that. So when you look at the kind of the overall market, right? Everyone's calling it a bear market. But here's what I said back in July, August rally, because this was very, very important. This was the time to sell. What is going on, family? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're doing well. The markets are really, really pumping, and the fear and greed index is at a place where we haven't seen for a very, very long time. And we're going to look at this today because where do we go from here? And I can tell you right now, the headlines could be misleading, but let's enjoy this ride and look out for the traps, because obviously the market has a habit of bringing us back down to earth. And the name of the game from here would be sell what you can when you can. Quite simply, be ruthless and never, ever complain about any form of profit taking. If there's anything to remember, no more round tripping, no more back. Right. So basically, this was 3 months ago. And I did trade few tokens back then because it made a lot of sense. Now, of course, the thesis overall was that we were going to then go into a massive dip. Yes, we got the massive dip, but then the recovery is where everybody fell off. Nobody saw the mass liquidation in October. October and November have been cancelled. Therefore, a lot of people are calling the bull market to be ended. And of course, to a degree of truth, we are seeing prices being tested. However, it is about people selling bags and what they can do in the short term to recover some funds. Now, I did tell you at the time, absolutely, the market was frothy, take profit. Right now, what are you taking profit for? The market is in extreme fear. The chances are we are now in, like Tom Lee said, we are in the 6th week of this kind of play from October. We have seen this again in April. Structurally, people just want to call a bull market or a bear market. A lot of influencers today that are calling for a bear market said the market was going to top in September. Don't fall for engagement farming, guys. Be a little bit more wiser than that. And of course, come and join us as we discuss this every day, especially we're looking at the macro. All right? Take care, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.